Hey, welcome back, guys. There was a gigantic reveal in Ghost episode 402, something that many have been alluding to in the weeks leading up to this new Power season, and that was the positive pregnancy of none other than Diana Tejada. Although many minds seem to be made up as to who the father potentially could be of Diana's child, there's still a lingering question of just whose it is really, and moreover, how will the identity of the father of her child affect her narrative in the story and place in her family going into episode 3 and even beyond it? In this video, we'll dig into Diana's romantic history a little bit and decide just who could potentially be the father of that child based on the story evidence. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. In order to kick this thing off right, let's first dissect Diana's character description provided by Amazon Prime. It states the following. At the end of season 3, Diana and Drew's botched attempt to avenge the death of their father, Lorenzo, by killing the person responsible, their mother, Monet, is just the first in a series of major life cataclysms Diana is about to experience. For Diana, Season 4 is a season of emotional and physical turmoil, which takes her from semi-trepidatious teen to a young woman trying to captain her own life. By the end of Season 4, Diana makes a decision about the direction she'll ultimately take her life in, as she finds herself morphing into the woman she's fought so desperately not to become, her own mother. So based on what has just been outlined, Diana's pregnancy falls perfectly in line with an emotional and physically tumultuous situation, as not only is she pregnant, but from a psychological standpoint, she's pregnant at the worst time, feeling the stress and anxiety of having just committed a treacherous act and trying to not only cope with the consequences of such an action, but weave her way out of the line of fire once the truth and the fan finally have that one conversation. Something that this commentator believes to be just right around the corner when we get to episode 3. Stress and anxiety are two of the worst components that precede a child's birth, and the former of which could even lead to detrimental effects for that child. Thus, the last thing Diana needs is internal family drama, and even worse, external baby daddy drama. And as much as we've seen the family drama unfold, we've yet to arrive to the potential baby daddy drama that's surely on the way. That drama comes in the face of two men, the one of which we know very well, Tariq St. Patrick, and the other of which we wish we knew nothing about to begin with, and that's Salim Shea Butter Allah Freeman. Both of these men were formerly with Diana romantically, with Tariq sporadically spending time with her throughout the latter half of Season 2 and Season 3, while Salim spent the majority of time with her throughout Season 3. Dare I say as a main boyfriend of sorts, before he fumbled her with the words coming out of that big hole in his face. Judgmental words at that. How would these men being the father of Diana's child bode for her character? It's a fair question, especially given the circumstances that we currently find our characters in. Tariq is at odds with the Tejada family, extending his opposition to not just Kane, but to Drew and Diana as well, and perhaps even most fervently, as those two decided to do the unthinkable to him. And that was to not only betray him through finessing him to kill their mother, but also to pin that murder on him in the eyes of their older brother, thus killing two birds with one stone without ever having to expose their part in the caper. Then, upon Tasha unknowingly botching their plan, they did the next worst thing, which was to join that other treacherous coalition by Noma's side and threaten his life in the immediate future, as we even see them chasing and hunting him down in the premiere episode of this season. So needless to say, Tariq being that baby's father would be strenuous at best, if not outlawed outright, because we're leaving out another major factor in Tariq potentially being that child's father, and that is Kane. Now, as I've stated in previous videos leading up to this point, Kane has a seething hatred for Tariq, mostly born out of his jealousy and envy towards him throughout the series' existence. Kane was livid at the idea of Tariq even getting with his sister on a physical level, so by Tariq taking that memory and extending it to a reminder in the form of a niece or nephew to Kane would just be appalling to the elder Tejada, and would give him yet another reason to hunt Tariq down. That is, once Noma lifts the truce that was previously created at the tail end of episode 1. Now, in the case of Monet, although her and Tariq have had their issues in the past, you can still see between them an underlying mutual respect, and that respect just may remain. That is, until Monet discovers Tasha's role in sending shots her way and subsequently sending her to that hospital. Once that secret is outed, then all bets are off when it comes to Tariq and any kind of family establishment, even if it's in the form of the next generation, a bloodline, a legacy. none of that will take place before Monet's wrath. And although we've seen a struggle between the virtuous and the demented, the sacred and the profane, Monet's default settings, as with many characters in power, will surely overpower those leanings, leaving Tariq with no other choice than to protect the only family he has left. As for Drew's feelings on Tariq, it's really hit or miss, because sure, he can't stand Tariq right now, but only insofar as he stood in the way of his revenge against Monet, because his mother is the true focus of his ire so far this season. And if he ever breaks bad on the family or puts himself in a position where Kane or even Diana's hand is forced, it'll be to him finally having enough of Monet and deciding to cross her off the board once and for all, which honestly has nothing to do with Tariq. But prior to all of this madness, Drew and Tariq never had a serious issue, and dare I say he even encouraged his sister's relationship with him, if not on a more serious note, at least casually. Remember, Diana's trips to Stansfield provided a platform and a reason for Drew to be up there himself, and thus generate a relationship of his own. Hopefully he'll consider all that once the shit hits the fan. But as for Salim, nigga, Salim doesn't have a chance in hell of being any kind of father to that baby. If memory serves me best, Drew has never met Salim like that. And when Kane met him, the spirit of roasting was so strong within him that he couldn't even respect the guy, even though Salim at that point attempted to present himself respectably. Needless to say, Salim is way too outside of their scope or even their realm of comprehension to fully function as a parent in any capacity, even if it was on a cooperative level. Diana will remember the judgments that he cast upon her, and she may even relate some of that stuff to her family, cementing his status as an outsider and thus a forced negligent father to yet another child. But if they throw a monkey wrench in our thinking on this baby and make Salim the father, all signs point to hell. The only way I see it working out for Salim in this case is if Diana was to do one of two things: choose not to have the baby, or, much like her mother did, have the baby and hand the baby off to someone else to be raised, thus creating another vicious cycle of a Tejada mother not raising her child and choosing to operate in a criminal lifestyle over the well-being of her own son. This is exactly what Monet did with Zeke, opting for him to stay with family while she ran the drug business up north while her husband was incarcerated. This could also lend credence and credibility to Diana's character analysis, where it states that she's likely to become like the very woman that she detests all along, and that's like her mother. This brings us to what being a mother would do to Diana's status in the game. As was visible this episode, she maintained apprehension with moving drugs on campus, stating that she was already behind on several things, a notion that Effie was all too familiar with, yet unkind to. A baby would only further complicate these things, and the closest Tejada to being a civilian would have a critical choice to make. But up to now, Diana has done a lot of dirt, and one question should remain in all of our minds. Will her new life be enough to save her very own? We've already seen images of Tariq holding a gun to Diana, and at this moment of exacting his revenge, he'll surely learn of the truth, or at least the truth according to Diana. Because I maintain, until Tariq gets a blood test, I wouldn't trust a thing that comes out of her mouth. Not sure, shooting a pregnant woman is never cool, so regardless of it being his or not, he definitely shouldn't pull that trigger if she says she's pregnant. But if she adds his name into that mix, it would be unwise to not get it checked out. But what are your thoughts on all of this? How will Diana's pregnancy and forthcoming childbirth affect her status in the game? And moreover, who do you think the father is? Is it Tariq or is it Salim? Be sure to drop me your opinions and predictions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.